Hey y'all. Another thing I was talking to my kids about one day is, well, actually, I was talking to my daughter the other day about this, and um, I like to call myself spiritual. I really, honestly, I don't think that you have to call yourself anything to know that God exists, to feel God, to talk to God, to know God, to build a relationship. I don't feel like you have to call it anything. I know a lot of people like to know what religion you are, and who do you pray to, who do you um but I just feel a little bit differently when it comes to spirituality. Like I said, I know God exists. I know I didn't create myself. I know there's a lot of things that transpired in my life that only God could have done, and I thank God for that. So another thing that we don't really seem to realize is that there's a lot of people that use spirituality. I don't know if I want to say against us, but I kind of do want to say that. And what I mean by that is, me and my daughter, we were having a conversation, like I said, and we were talking about birth certificates. And sometimes when you start talking about like zodiac signs and horoscopes and things like that, and birth charts, it starts to, people start to get weirded out, especially people who've been conditioned that you don't use those things don't matter, those things, people back in the day use them, or evil people use them, or whatever people think. But we've been taught that those things shouldn't be used for a reason, but unbeknownst to us, they're being used every day. So the example that me and my daughter, we were discussing, I think I told her, I said, there's a reason why here in America, and I don't know if this is in any other country, but when you're in the hospital and you have a baby, your birth certificate is marked with the day you were born, or your birthday, the place you were born, and the time of birth. Okay. I have 3 children. I never cared about it. I only needed it when I was signing them up for school, or if we were trying to get passport, like stuff like that is what I thought it was for. But in all actuality, it's really, really deeper than that. And at some point, someone knew, or a group of people knew, that information about each one of us is very important. That information tells you essentially who you're destined to be. You put that information together to get your birth chart, to know your life path number, and those things like that. And essentially, it has all the information about you so that you can live an easier, more fulfilling life, right? So a lot of for instance, myself, mostly everything in my birth chart, when I realized it and looked my information up, made me realize that I'm supposed to be in leadership, right? And mind you, I'm almost 40 years old. I'm 39, and I'm just now finding this stuff out, like maybe a couple years ago. And I'm like, that's why I never wanted to have a job. Like, I always, like, since I've been working, in all my working years, I never felt comfortable working a job. I always felt like I was destined for greater than that. I couldn't be creative. When you're working a job, you pretty much are, especially like, call center jobs or factories, like you're doing the exact same thing every day. And I never, ever, ever felt comfortable working a job. When I did and I had to, it was because I had to. You know, I had children, I had a family to take care of and all of that, but it just never felt comfortable. The last job I had was in July, ended in July of 2023. And I can remember the day I got fired, I kind of, you know, purposely made myself get fired. And mind you, I was working from home. Actually, the job was easy, and it was a decent job. It paid decent and everything, but the day I got fired, it was almost like a weight was lifted off of my shoulders, right? So I've always been creative. I've written a children's book. I've started companies. Like I've just done a lot of things that made me feel comfortable, that showed my creative side, and that's where I always felt like I should be. So when I found out the information from my birth chart, I'm like, this is why. Now I don't know if any other cultures record this information, but I kind of feel like Asian countries do. They get a lot of flack about choosing their children's careers. And y'all gotta correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, because I don't know this exactly, but I've been told that they pick their children's careers or their paths, and that's what, you know, they go into. If that is true, I totally see why. Because you don't want to put somebody in a position to be unsuccessful, right? You don't want to be, and I guarantee you, if you look up your birth chart, you look up your life path number, it's going to pretty much be spot on with how you are and who you are. It's not, it will. Just look it up and see. Again, you would need your, of course, date of birth, the time you were born, and where you were born to look that information up. But almost everybody that I've spoken to, and when they looked up the information, it was spot on. Spot on. And it's really helpful, like I said. And somewhere, some people knew to record this information. And I feel like our ancestors did it, and this information was copied by other people, right? So I don't know. I was just, me and my daughter, we were just talking about it, and I just found it really, really interesting that, you know, we actually have a way to know what we're supposed to be doing, especially like when you're 18 and then you're just thrown out there to go to college and you don't know what you should be going for. Like me personally, I really went to college because that's what the normal thing to do was. It wasn't, I was undetermined. I went to school, college, and I was undetermined. Placed a Walmart order. I was undetermined for like two to 3 years before I even picked a major. And then I picked journalism because I like to write, and like I said, I like to be creative. But here in 2025, you don't even need a degree to do that. You don't need it. I wrote a children's book. I don't have a degree. I never even graduated from college, you know, and I still make as much as a college graduate, if not more. A lot of things have been told to us that, you know, that really just wasn't true. Really was designed to hold us back, designed to keep us workers, to make other people rich and not really focus on our own prosperity, on our own generational wealth, on our own legacy. Things are turning around now. So this is why the information is coming out, and I'm pleased with that. I'm happy it's happening. I'm even more happy that younger people are starting to see it. My son, he's a successful barber, just cut an NFL player's hair this weekend. Yeah. But not only that, no, that's just, you know, but he went, so what I did when my children got graduated, I have 2 graduates now. So when my son, he graduated, I wasn't like the typical, oh, you're going to go to college. Or no, I said, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And even though at the time we didn't know anything about birth charts or life paths or anything like that, I still said I'm going to do something different. I knew that part. I said, because I knew my experience was just go. Nobody asked what you're going to go for, how is it going to get paid for. It was just go. And my situation was a little bit different because I had a baby, but still, I mean, I don't even know what that has to do with anything. But anyway, I said, what do you want to do? He said, Mom, I've been wanting to cut hair since I've been like 10 years old. I said, well, that's what we're going to do. That is what we're going to do. He loved to draw. He started selling tennis shoes online. And I said, we're going to go to barber school and cut hair. And it was a whole lot cheaper than going to college anyway. I think it was like $7,500. And we got that paid. No debt, no nothing. So he picked up that trade. And now, like I said, he makes more than some people. Well, he does make more than some people in college. He does. And he's only 22. I'm so proud of him. I'm proud of him for being different, chasing his dreams. I didn't get that opportunity up front, you know, and it wasn't anything that my mother did. It wasn't anything that we were just misinformed. And so when you know better, you do better, right? My daughter, she graduated. She wanted to go to school. She wanted to go to college. She's going to be a child psychologist. We need them. So with her, I'm like, okay, you know what you want to go for. So let's do that. But at any given time, if she say, Ma, this is not for me, I feel like I want to change, but I want to come out and I want to start a business or something like that, that is what we're going to do. I don't think it's good to, keep beating a dead horse. I don't feel like, I feel like we should be in a space of changing the norm, right? Everything isn't for everybody, but I hate that saying though. Why did I just say that? I hate that saying because, I mean, anything you put your mind to, you can do it, whether it's for you or not. And it just seems like when people say college isn't for everyone, it kind of, I don't know, it just kind of makes me feel like you're not smart enough to go. But the thing is that a lot of our billionaires and millionaires didn't graduate college. What they did was they hired people that did. And I found that out too. Even though money is just energy, and it comes and it goes, it's a lot more fulfilling when you can make it doing what you love. And like I said, there are ways to my son just pulled up alongside me and we're in the driveway. There are ways. Okay, do y'all hear his music? There are ways to find out what you're good at. Especially kids. Sometimes kids get out of school and they're stumped and they don't know what they like to do. My daughter was kind of like that. I had to remind her, you love children. And that's when she decided upon her career path. So yeah, that's all pretty much I have for this one. I hope I said something that you guys can use and take for your children, nieces, nephews, grandchildren. Forget what everybody else is talking about. We're not out here trying to impress anybody. Again, you can make a substantial living doing what you love, or doing something that's more fulfilling than the normal. So, yeah, I just hope this video was really helpful, and I will see you guys on the next one.